Need help with your organization? Then this episode is for you. I've got tips and tricks from the OT for Life community answering last month's question of the month about how they keep their OT brain and OT materials organized. I've also got a new Lyfer of the month for you to meet and the current 30-day movement challenge, which is happening as we speak. And make sure that you stay tuned to the very end of the episode to find out this month's question of the month. If you're interested in occupational therapy, this is the place for you. This show aims to explore our profession by sharing who we are and what we do. Because for us, occupational therapy is more than just a job. Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to OT for Life. Last month, I asked, how do you keep your OT brain and materials organized? And I have to say, the community definitely answered. So many great strategies and ideas. And what I didn't expect to happen is that this question would lead to a little challenge between Team Digital and Team Pen and Paper. So let's see how it panned out. To kick things off, I've got one of the most organized OT practitioners I know.
Hi, this is Stephanie from the Organized OT. I wanted to share some tips and tricks on how I stay organized with a crazy caseload. The first one is using plastic bins with labels to organize toys in a clinic setting or in the school system. I've noticed kids are a lot more motivated to clean up when they know where the toys are supposed to go. And the great thing about plastic bins with labels is not everything in the bin has to be perfect, but it all has a home. Another thing that's been very helpful is purchasing a rolling cart from stores like Michael's, and then I purchased tins from Walmart that are in the party section and placed all my pencils, markers, crayons in those tins, and then you never will lose a pencil again. Another helpful tip is purchasing a picture organizer box, and this is a great way to store all your fine motor manipulatives, and it's also great for therapy on the go. It fits in your trunk, and they're all easy to clean. The last tip I have is using clear pencil pouches and a binder ring to hang the clear pencil pouches on a vertical surface and keep all your materials organized. I hope these tips help you stay organized.
So many amazing organizational hacks right here. But to be honest, I'd expect nothing less from the Organized OT. Shout out to Stephanie for providing the picture for the cover art illustrating some of the fantastic organization strategies she mentioned in the voicemail. Up next, I got Dr. Khalil Johnson from the Academic Diva.
I use Google and Outlook calendars so that I can easily sync meeting reminders, deadlines for papers or reviews, appointments, and consultations easily. I also use a spiral calendar and bullet point lists of tasks I need to prioritize with estimated times of completion and deadlines. It seems like a lot, but seeing reminders helps me keep track of everything that's on my plate.
Okay. I love the estimated time of completion and deadline idea. And I definitely think that this is something that I need to start implementing into my workflow. I think I'm kind of that person that operates like, if I have an hour to work on it, it's going to take me an hour. And should think more along the lines of, this should take 15 minutes and I'll do everything in my power to get it done in 15 minutes. Hashtag major procrastinator over here. Next up, Annabeth Knight from the Fanny Pack Therapist.
Honestly, the best organization tools for me are old school planners and lists. I love pen and paper, and I feel like that's the way I learn best. But I've been learning to also use electronic organization tools. The Google Drive has been my new best friend in organizing all the content for my Instagram page with my business partner. Everything is in one spot, and I really have started to embrace being able to create folders and an organization system that way, even though it's not on paper. And I'm trying to get better at learning on the computer rather than just on paper. So thank goodness for blue light glasses.
Looks like we got one vote for the old school pen and paper. And I bet it's totally a winner if you can find a planner that fits inside a fanny pack too. Keeping it minimal. And I admit, I used to be a pen and paper type person, but since making the switch to digital, I could never go back.
Hey Sarah, this is Amelia, and my Instagram handle is at _lymph_therapist. I have a lot of things that I'm juggling right now between my personal life and my work life. So for work, I'm using the Microsoft Outlook calendar quite a bit, and I have two separate calendar, one for my typical work life, like meetings and events and stuff like that. And the other one is for the OT fellowship, just everything's, all the events that's happening for them. And then I think I'm planning to use my calendar more to remind me of all the monthlies that I've been doing, because I think the calendar just helps, like everything all at once in 1 week. Because right now what I'm doing is I'm using my iPhone to list all the things that I have to do. So like in the notes app, I just put the daily checklist of, like things that I have to complete before the end of the day or before the end of the week. And that's how I keep things organized. The reason why I'm using my iPhone instead of a book or a journal is because I lose those things often. I never lose my iPhone, so that's a good thing. So that way it's organized, it's synced between my phone and my computer, and life is good. Thank you for letting me share this. Have a great day.
And now we've got one vote for digital. Thanks, Amelia, for sharing how you keep everything on your busy plate organized.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am Burns Lauren OT on Instagram. And the two things I really do to stay organized is first, with just my schedule for the day. After I print my schedule, I usually try to sift through and think about kind of the order I want to see my patients in. That's never set in stone. I work in skilled nursing, so sometimes people aren't ready, but that gives me a good place to get organized to know kind of who I want to go to next. And then the other thing I do for my assessments and my home exercise programs is I have binders in my desk, and then I keep them all kind of grouped together in its own page protector. So it's all very easily organized, and my binders are labeled HEP program or assessment tools. So I kind of know exactly where to grab for if I'm doing an initial evaluation or I have a home exercise program that I'm sending home with a client.
Binders are such a great way to keep materials organized for all the hats that we wear as OT practitioners. They're also great projects for students to work on. So if you happen to be a student and looking for an idea of what to do for a fieldwork project, definitely think about if there's a way that you can help your site be more organized.
Hey, this is Nikki from MyPedsOT. To stay organized, I use a combination of strategies. As a school-based OT, I first try to make myself organized through the therapy bag that I choose. I make sure that it's rolling as I do travel between schools, and I do also make sure it's full of compartments so I can have a multitude of activities at my fingertips. I also have 4 binders at home for the different seasons of the year, and over the years, I have added and used different ideas that I've had for different kids. It's been a great resource. I also have a 9-cube organizer, and I got that from IKEA. You can utilize it for your house. You can utilize it at your pediatric clinic, and I have it labeled for each section or type of activity that I'll use. So if like fine motor or handwriting, or if it's by age group, I can do for pre-K students, kindergarten, and then my elementary, middle, or high school students. Or if you're doing it by age group, 0 to 3 for early intervention, 4 to 10 for your elementary school age, then maybe 11 plus. I also use a iPhone calendar and written agenda to write down any meetings I have with parents, teachers. I'll incorporate if I have any IEP meetings. And for my PDOT, I'll be sure to write down any specific things that I have going on, like big project due dates. I also even use this app and website called Trello. And you can use it to do to-do lists, and you can involve your coworkers or partners. If you have an OT clinic or a business, I use it now all the time for my PDOT, and it's a great resource to help you stay organized.
So many nuggets here for both OT materials and also tasks and workflow. And I love that she mentioned Trello. It's one of my favorites, and I think it's a few other people's favorite thing. More on that in just a minute.
Hi everyone, this is Amy Tucker, the founder of Little Motor Box. I'm an entrepreneur and school-based OT, and I wanted to share how I stay organized. Number 1, I do like to use something handwritten to keep my schedule, important dates, and appointments, as well as on-the-spot ideas to put on paper, especially when I am in the schools because it is just so easy and convenient. So I use the printed Bliss planner, putting the fun and functional OT academic planner, which has monthly and weekly calendars and lots of space to jot down notes as well. Next, for my longer notes and larger lists, I like to use Google Forms and Google Keep for anything business related. I will mostly jot everything down on those if I'm not near my computer and I'm using my phone. And then later, I will transfer it onto Google Sheets because it can be organized into different sections, and I can add formulas to plan budgets, designate tasks, and much more. The best thing is that there is a phone app for all of those, and it can all sync to your Google Drive. So you can find it all in one spot from any device. It makes my life so much easier. Thank you so much for listening, and happy organizing.
One more vote for pen and paper, and also a vote for Team Digital. Sounds like Amy utilizes a good blend to keep herself organized.
Hi everyone, this is Amira from marvelousmiracles.ot. I wanted to share a couple ways that I stay organized. So the first way that I stay organized is I use my Google Calendar that syncs to my Gmail for all of my personal and non-work related events that are going on. I use my Microsoft Outlook calendar for anything work related. I also put in there vacations and time off that I need so that the schedulers know that information. I use budgeting apps such as EveryDollar and Mint for financial organization, and then I use Google Docs for business-related thoughts and ideas. My go-to quick and easy number one organization thing that I like to do is use the Notes app in my phone. It's a great way to just jot down quick ideas that I'm having, and I keep those organized by folders in my phone. So those are my organizational hacks, and I hope that helps.
Amira is all about the digital organization, and I have to admit that I'm a Google Calendar, Gmail, and Google Docs kind of girl through and through. I also love that Amira threw in some apps that she uses for financial organization. Having your financial ducks in a row is super important for all OT practitioners and students. To add to what she said, I would also recommend Personal Capital for more money tracking and financial organization.
Hi, Sarah. It's Adriana Beaumont. I'm an early intervention occupational therapist from Georgia. The main way I keep my OT brain organized is by using Trello, which is an online tool that allows you to organize your projects into boards. As an EIOT, I use Trello to create boards for evaluations I need to do, documentation that needs to be done, timelines for plans of care, and so much more. It's an easy way to organize info, and I can collaborate on my boards with others if there's info that needs to be shared.
I told you, we weren't done with the Trello fans yet. Yes, 100% to all of this. Trello is my lifeline. Thank you so much for sharing, Adriana.
Hey Sarah, this is Hillary with Original Therapy Resources. Thanks so much for doing this. This is going to be a great opportunity to hear about some organization tips. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, mainly in outpatient settings. So one thing that I really try to make sure I'm organizing is actually all of my kiddos. So sometimes they're working on handwriting, sometimes it's visual motor perceptual skills or different sensory items. So I actually kept files of each of my kids that were current kids on my caseload, and I would put either testing materials or handouts I've given them to make sure that I know what I've given them and how they're progressing. Something else that I like to do to make sure that I'm staying organized in general is games that I use, activities that I use. We had them sorted in cabinets or bookshelves, and we tried to kind of keep it organized based on what kind of game in what area it could target. So visual motor games in one area, visual perceptual games in another area, fine motor in another area. Obviously these can all overlap, but we tried to keep it kind of categorized so they were easy to access. Hope this is helpful tips for people. You can find us at original_therapy_resources on Instagram if you want more tips. Thanks, Sarah.
Yep. I think it's safe to say that we have a lot to keep organized. From the documents that we use for our clients to the toys and materials, it is a lot. I love how Hillary mentioned keeping track of what handouts she's already given to a client. Not only do we want to keep work samples to track progress, but also to help us remember what we have done with the clients in the past. These all have been such great tips and tricks from the community, and shout out to everybody who called in with their recommendations. I love hearing how everybody stays organized, and hopefully this will help you if you happen to be somebody who struggles with organization. As for me, I'm definitely on Team Digital. Like I mentioned, I use all the Google products for my calendar, email, and documentation. I use Trello for my to-do list and have it broken down into numerous boards. For example, I'll have one for all of my EI stuff, like assessments, like which ones I need to write up, what service coordinators I need to reach out to. I have one for the podcast to track who I've reached out to be a guest, episodes to be recorded, edited, and so on. And I also have a board for my daily and weekly to-do lists. I pretty much just brain dump everything in there, which helps me so much because my memory is not the best these days. Now, for documentations and paperwork, I like to use small flash drives and micro SD drives. I have one for my clinical work, and then I also have one for OT for Life. I keep all of my files on there, password protected, of course, because HIPAA, and it's easy to just download a document from an email and just drop it right into the flash drive. And if I ever get a hard copy, which doesn't happen all that much anymore, but if I do, it's super easy to just convert it to a PDF, drop it in the appropriate flash drive. And these flash drives are great because they're super small and they're easy to keep all of the documents organized. Now, while I am mostly digital, I do still use pen and paper for a few tasks. I always have a notebook with me, so anytime that I need to quickly take notes on a client or during an evaluation or just jot something down really, really fast, I always have that as an option. And also add in that the backsides of the paper in the notebook also double as great scribbling pages for the little ones. I also like to keep the notebook on a clipboard. Now, I know clipboards are a little bit outdated, but I swear by mine. I use it all the time when I'm getting client signatures, during my assessments, and any time that I need to write something down and don't necessarily have a flat surface to write on. Oh, the life of a home-based pediatric OT. So my last organizational hack would have to be, and it's one of my favorites, my backpack. Last year, I got a backpack from Osprey. And keep in mind, this is not sponsored by any means. I am just a happy fan of the product. And I seriously love it so, so much. And I had to share. It has components galore. It's almost like if you remember the old school like kit and caboodle cases, it's like that, but in backpack form. There's a separate compartment at the bottom that would hold all of my tech cords. So my computer charger, phone charger, anything for my microphone, any sort of cords, all goes at the bottom in a separate bag. Then there's a padded back pouch that I put my laptop in, I put my microphone in, all my flash drives, anything like that that needs to have a little bit of added protection, a little added padding around it. There's a middle pouch for my notebook and clipboard. There's a wet pouch for hand sanitizer, extra soap, anything like that. And then there's plenty of other pockets and nooks and crannies for pens, keys, and anything else that you need. Now, I've been using a backpack for years, and it's not only because it's a little bit more ergonomically friendly, but it also allows me to keep my hands free. By having my hands free, I can carry a small bag of toys that I need to, or maybe a therapy ball or some other piece of equipment. And it even allows me to quickly help somebody out, like a parent. How many times have I shown up to a house and the mom is just getting back from the store, or maybe the little one attempts to run out when she opens the door, and by having my hands free, it makes it where I can intervene and help out in any way that I possibly can. And it means that I'm ready for anything that comes my way, which we all know is pretty much the life of an OT practitioner. As you can see, I love talking about organization, but I'm going to admit that I'm way better at organizing my things and my material, and I'm not so hot at organizing my time. It's a work in progress. If you got any tips for me, reach out, let me know. I've been working on that one. All right, it's time. Last month, I introduced a brand new segment on the show called the Lyfer of the Month, and this month, I've got a new Lyfer to share with you. The Lyfer of the Month feature is a way to showcase more of the amazing OT community and share a little bit more about who they are and what their role is in occupational therapy. So I'm excited to introduce you to Krista Grande. Krista and I recently connected on Instagram, and let me just say, she has been absolutely killing it in the 30-day movement challenges. Welcome to the show, Krista. I'm excited to feature you as this month's Lyfer of the Month.
Hi, Lifers. This is so cool. I feel so honored.
I'm really, really excited to have you here. And I know that we recently connected through Instagram, through doing some of like the movement challenges, and now we're doing the lunges and all that. But I really wanted to take a little bit of time and just share a little bit more about who you are and your OT roles, and just a little bit more about you as an occupational therapy practitioner. So you're a certified occupational therapy assistant, and you're working currently in pediatrics, both in the schools and then also in early intervention.
Yeah, preschool.
And I am curious, how did you actually end up in both of those? I mean, it's pediatrics, but in both of those practice areas.
Well, I've always loved working with kids. So even throughout my program, everybody's like, have an open mind and everything. And I do. I love all populations, but I knew I wanted to work with kids from like the day that I started the program. So as soon as I finished and graduated and got my license, I just started job searching, and I work for a contract company, and I work in Pennsylvania, and I work in the school systems. And then the contract company that I work for also does like preschool, so like EI, so they're 3 to 5 years old. So I work in that population as well. And it's like different. Their goals are different. And I do it like one day a week, and it's kind of fun because it's kind of school-based all week. And then the last day is like a break, and it's more play and everything.
I think that's really interesting. So you're just doing kind of the older side of early intervention. Because for me, I'm like, I stop at 3. Like they're 3 years in one day. It's like, nope, like they move on.
Yeah, I would love to get experience with birth to 3. I want to get into that too.
Yeah.
I do have a theater degree too. That was my first degree. So OT was kind of like a second career for me. Well, I think it's really hard when you're 18. You have to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. So I do have a theater degree. So I like to like mix that in, and we'll play different games and stuff, because I really think it's a great way to build confidence and social skills and everything. It really brings you out.
That's super interesting. Okay. Now I want to know more about this. Are there any like certain things that you either bring into your treatment sessions, or anything that you've learned through your theater experience that you feel like really, really helps you within your OT practice?
Yeah, definitely being an improviser, because I'm sure you go in and you have a plan, and then like yesterday in my teletherapy session, I had a plan. They're like, oh no, I didn't print out your printable and I don't have that. I'm like, okay, well, we'll do this. You always have to have a plan B and a plan C and also a plan D. So I definitely think that. And then also just the creativity. I always try to make it fun and do something different every time, so that all my clients, it's most client-centered as possible.
That totally relates. I'm like, yeah, having like plan B, plan C, plan D, having all of those backup plans, because I think in any practice area, but specifically in peds and with like the younger ones, like you never know. You could have this beautiful treatment plan and ideas and your materials and everything's great, and the kid like walks in and they're like, no. Or right now they pop up on the computer and you're like, they're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, nope. And they run away.
Yeah. Close the computer down. They're like, I'm out.
Yeah, teletherapy's fun.
It's definitely been a challenge, I think. And I think there's been some positive benefits, but then also it's highlighted some areas that you're like, wow, this is so much harder because we have to do it via the computer.
Yeah, I really do love how it's really allowed the parents to have such a good carryover, because before schools closed down, I would see the parents at the IEP meetings and that would be it. And now I see them every week, and, they could really see what their kid was doing, or like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that they were having such trouble holding their pencil and everything. So it was really good to have good carryover, and you could really educate through the computer.
Completely. Like, I think that's like such a perfect thing that you said right there. Cause for me, like, I'm used to going into the home. So I'm used to working directly with the parents and the caregivers. But I think for people that are in schools, that are in clinics, that might not get that at least weekly ability to collaborate with the caregivers, now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like I'm here, I'm in your house. And if you don't do it, it's not going to happen, right? Like there's no way that you can actually like make them do it. They have to kind of take that initiative. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say lights you up about working in pediatrics and working in the schools and then the EI piece?
I think I just love that I can be there for the kids because, you know, you don't know what's happening when they have their mornings, like before they come to school, or you don't know what's going to happen after. But I really like for that, like 6 hours that I know they're in there and I can help them be the best successful student that they can be. And I really love just like making it fun, but also putting like the educational piece, like doing letter formation and everything, but hiding it in like an obstacle course. So I really like that. And with EI, I just love that it always changes and they're growing so fast. We'll work on one skill and then they'll really pick it up and remember it for the next time. So I just love how, and I don't know, it's so much fun to play all day. I love playing with all of them.
So does it ever happen where you are working with kids in EI and then they transition into the schools and you continue with them?
I haven't had that happen yet because it's 2 different districts. So no, but that'd be awesome. Like I like some of mine that are transitioning into kindergarten, I won't have them anymore. And I'm so sad to lose them. Like I always find a special place in my heart for each client that I have.
But I'm sure even though you're not actually going to be continuing seeing the same kids, when you're working with them, knowing that they're going to be transitioning to schools and kindergarten, I'm sure when you're working with them, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to address this because this is going to be a skill that they're going to need when they get to kindergarten, or like basically you're setting them up for success. So you're using your OT brain of like working in the schools and then helping those kiddos right before they start their kind of school journey.
Yeah, I definitely think they definitely like intertwine and parlay to each other. Like I know the skills that they're going to need. And then also with my older kids, like I know they still want to have fun. So I even just kind of upgrade the activities that I'm going to do. Like that's what I love about OT. You can upgrade and downgrade for anything. And there's always an adaptation or some different way that you can use the material.
What's kind of been one of your biggest challenges?
My biggest challenge? I would say one of my biggest challenges this year, because it was my first year as a practicing like full-on practitioner, because I got licensed last August. So I would just say that I've always been really good working with people and everything. And yeah, I've always been a good team member, but just like the parents, there's so many different personalities that I dealt with. And I think that was a big challenge. Like I had the parents that like wanted a communication log and had emails every week of what their kid did and just were very involved. And like, I'm really happy that, you know, some parents really care about their kids. And then I had other parents that I just saw like IEP meetings and it was just a big difference. So it was just challenging of like how to get the other parents involved and then also please the other parents that were more high profile.
Yeah, I think that's something, especially when you go working into peds, like you just think, oh, I'm going to work with the kids and it's fine. And you forget that like there's parents attached to those kids and teachers and other professionals. And I think really like learning to navigate the differences and then being able to be like, okay, this is what I want to do, but some people expect X, Y, and Z from me. And this parent expects this. And it's like, how can I make it as setting up like that system so you know exactly what you need to do and abide by what everybody else is kind of expecting or hoping or asking you to do.
But on the other side, I do love the teamwork aspect of it, like working with the PT and the speech and collaborating. We would do a lot of co-treatments in our space and then working with the teachers and making sure that the student had everything they needed in their classroom. Do they need a wiggle seat or can we pick some movements to do during the middle of the day, give them a break or anything to help, you know, get them regulated. So
So do you have a favorite intervention or maybe treatment strategy, or just kind of like what's your go-to when you are going about planning and doing your treatments?
So for treatments, I always try to start like a gross motor game or an obstacle course, which I think is great. Like it really works on processing and different multi-steps and sequencing and everything. And then we'll do like the fine motor, like tweezer activity, because I really think that helps ground the student and get them ready to sit down and focus at the desk. And then I also, whenever I'm planning treatments, it's usually like with a theme or a cat love, like we'll do superheroes one week, or we just did Disney week for teletherapy, which has been a real hit. They love it. So I always think like as long as the student is having fun, their skills are going to be like that much more improved.
Completely. Yes. And there was one, what it wasn't Disney. What was it? You did something in, I think it was the plank challenge that you had done in, like you were using a component of it in your treatment session, and then you did it as part of the plank challenge. And now I can't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah. The shark that I had, I think I did the shark in my hand because I made a shark puppet. That was a hit too. I really find anything like that's motivating, like a YouTube video that they really love. That's what I've been using for teletherapy. Because we did like Bruce Says, because Bruce the shark from Finding Nemo. I love it. Bruce Says, or we did like first sentences to, make handwriting motivating. I was like, all right, Bruce is going to write too. And I would put the pen in his mouth and everything. So anyway, just make it fun and light.
I mean, if you can make it where the kid doesn't think that they're working, but they are, that's it right there. That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, because I think being in the schools, do you have a designated area? Do you have a clinic at the school that you're at? Or where are you implementing some of these obstacle courses? Like what kind of space do you use?
Well, pre-COVID, I was very lucky. And I had one school, I had a great space that was like our own room for PT and speech and OT. And then some schools don't have that luxury of having a space. So I'd work in the teacher's lounge, to do spinning around to give them some vestibular input before we did our focus activities. And the hallway, like especially like for transitions, I had one student who did not love to leave anywhere. So I would say like, all right, let's play follow the leader. And I would act like a dinosaur. And then he would want to act like a dinosaur and would walk down the hall, and he got down the hall. So any way that you can do it.
Exactly. When I used to work in the schools, for the most part, I did not have like a designated area, at least in like the very beginning stages. So I remember doing obstacle courses and doing all sorts of gross motor work, like out on the playground or at the picnic table, like the lunch benches, or in the hallways, in the stairwell, like basically wherever you could find it. So I'm always impressed when people actually have a designated space, because I know that not everybody and not every school actually has that. So that's pretty cool.
And then I'm a big component for push-in too. Like I would do stuff during center time. And that way, like they're still in their educational environment and it's the least restrictive. So I try to do push-in as much as I can.
So now teletherapy. And I'm thinking about like some of this gross motor stuff with the parents and the kids in their house. How has that carryover been? Have you had to do a lot of explaining about, we're doing this to work on X, Y, and Z? Have the parents been like, why are we climbing over chairs and under tables? And like, how has that been? Because now they're literally like in the session with you. So how has that transition been for you?
Yeah, that's one of the positives about teletherapy. I really think no excuse not to like learn about what we do and everything. And they really start to appreciate it. And like, I'd say like, all right, we're going to use pillows and crawl on them because it's going to give them that input into their joints that, they really need to be able to do their educational occupations. So a lot of parents have been really receptive to it. And they even like be like, oh, we did, your typing exercise at night. And I was like, yes.
Like, that's the whole point. Thank you. Have you had any of, like, if they have siblings, have they gotten involved in any of the sessions? And have you seen any like carryover that way? Or has it mainly just kind of been your clients and their parents?
Mainly, like some of my students have a lot of siblings. Like one time, if I'm gonna plan an activity that the mom thinks is really cool, and they're like, "Oh, everybody would love this," and I'm like, "Yeah, the more the merrier." So the one time we were making fireworks in a jar, and my client had like 4 brothers, and I turn on the Zoom, like get ready, to go in the room, the pop up or whatever, and they're all sitting at the table, like ready to do the activity. So I'm like, the more the merrier, because we got the okay that it was all right if siblings participated. So we thought we were, okay with it. So
that's again like going into the homes for me, like when there are siblings there and when it's appropriate. But I have found that can be such a valuable piece of the treatment. And especially when they are not impeding the session in any way, but being able to even like teach the siblings some of the things that we're working on, and then they can kind of help their sibling when we're not there. And I absolutely, for the like most part, I really love having the sibling involvement as well as the parents, because it literally is just that like that whole family. It's that the whole natural environment, and it really is just like so holistic.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. Like all the siblings have been really great. Even some of them have been like big motivators. Like, if their older sister's doing it, you can do it too, So you would normally not be into it.
Mm-hmm. So do you have like the most memorable moment so far as a practitioner, something that like just stands out to you as like something that you will always remember?
Well, I've had a lot, but I guess like recently, just because we've been home and all the kids have had their toys and their video games all the time. And one of my students told me that their day with me was their favorite day of the week. And also that day, my student was working on using his finger as a spacer like the whole year. And I would always have to prompt him. And he was writing a sentence and he did it all by himself. And I was like, my OT heart just grew 2 sizes too big because, he's working on that for so long and then he did it independently. So that was great. And then also one of my students who's pretty much nonverbal, I've been working with for a long time. And he said, "Hi, Krista," over teletherapy last week. So I was really so in awe that, we made that connection.
That's amazing. And I love that everything that you're sharing is things that have actually happened during teletherapy, because I think there's been a lot of hesitancy, maybe not so much. I was going to say maybe not so much on the practitioners, but more for like the parents and for some of the consumers, like the other side. And I know that we see so much good, and it's actually really cool to hear these moments and these stories of like really good things that are happening, and they're happening during COVID time and during teletherapy. So that's like super inspiring to me.
Yeah, it's really great to feel like that there are positive things still happening out there. There's still a lot of good going on. And I'm glad to be able to put a little bit of time in each of my students' week to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a question for you. What does OT mean to your life?
So much. Like, I feel like I'm always thinking about things with an OT brain. Like, even me, like, I love making myself accountable, like to move every day and to adapt my life to this changing time. Everything's going on. And I just think when I'm not even working with my students, I'm always thinking about something that I could do for a treatment or a different way. Like if I see something on Instagram, like I'm always like, oh, I love that. And then I could do X, Y, and Z with it, So I just love that it's like an all encompassing career, I would say, and field. There's so much you can do.
Never a dull moment.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's such a common theme where it's like, even when we're not like on the clock or we're not working, we're always thinking about what we could be doing for our clients, whether it's like, you see something on social media or you happen to be at like the market and you're like, oh, that would be great if I could use it for this activity.
right?
And it's like the OT brain is always on.
Exactly. I love how it's just so creative. Like, you recycle things. Like, it's not just a cup. You can do about like 10 activities with just a cup and a piece of paper.
Yep. You don't need all the fancy toys, all the bells and whistles. Like, you just need a little imagination, and you can like take it and run with it. And yeah, I love that about OT too.
That's one thing that I've really like honed in on with teletherapy. Like, you don't need all of my fancy things that I have sitting in my car waiting to go back to school whenever we can. Like, you just need some basic cups and paper and putty. Even like just doing wheelbarrow races is a great way just to strengthen your hands. You don't need fancy therapy.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want to mention? Anything else that you want to share?
I just love that OT is such a great community, and that, we're all here to just lift each other up and help our clients and do everything we can to make their life as full as possible, which in return makes our life as full as possible.
I love that. 100%. I'm like, preach it. So if people wanted to connect with you, how could they do that?
Sure. You can hit me up on the gram. It's Miss and then like ms.Krista, Krysta, loves OT. That's my Instagram. I'm pretty much on there a lot because I just love getting different ideas from Sarah and all the other amazing OT handles out there. So yeah, you direct message me if you need to.
And I have to ask, what are your thoughts about the movement challenge so far? What has that meant to you?
Well, I've started for my own personal workout routine. I've also started a bar program, so it hurts a lot. These lunges are hurting.
Oh my gosh, so much so.
But yeah, this is a hard one. The planks, I was like, yeah, no problem, because my upper body strength is a lot better than my lower body strength, apparently. But I also think it's great. Like, I love doing it every day. And even with this like pandemic and everything, it's a great way for everyone to stay connected and keep each other accountable and just have something to do every single day. Because, people are home and they're like, I can't go to the movies. I can't go here. I need to do something. Like, it's a great way to just have a few minutes to yourself to do something and then share it with the world.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, the burn is like real. Like the planks were hard, and like the squats were hard, but like the lunges, something about the lunges after the first day, actually halfway through the first day, I was like, this is hard. Like, this is actually a whole lot harder than I was expecting. So I totally understand that. And I think, yeah, like I feel the same way about the challenge. Like, when I wake up every morning, a lot of times, especially because I'm on the West Coast, some of the East Coasters have already done it. Yeah. So I'll get the message and I'm like, like people have already done it. And it motivates me that I need to do it and I can't slack off. And I love the creativity. Like, again, we're OT practitioners and we're so creative in our jobs, and it shows in the movement challenge where people are coming up with crazy ideas, and I'm like, I love this. And then like the next day I'm like, I got to try that out, or I like this one. Okay, I'm going to try that in a couple of days. So it's just been, that whole sense of like community. I totally get it.
Yeah. It's because like nobody likes to do the same thing every day. So like if we were going to do sit to stand transfers with your client every day and that's all you were going to do, yeah, of course they were going to hate you, You got to make it fun and interesting. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Well, I am so happy to have you be a part of them, and you've done a couple of them now. And yeah, it's also been a really cool way to connect with people that I hadn't met beforehand. And now I feel like, we see each other every day doing our exercises, and it's super fun. So a big thanks for you for doing that. And is there anything else that maybe you have in the works, anything that you're up to, anything that you wanted to share?
I'm just, waiting to see what's happening with the fall, if we're going back to school or not. I'll do it teletherapy or inside, no matter whatever we have to do. I'm just coming up with different activities. So I'm always posting something fun.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are in that boat where it's like, we don't know. Are we going back in person? Are we not? Like, when would that happen? So yeah, you're not alone in that.
No, we're all in this together.
Yes.
But thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Thank you. I really have enjoyed this conversation. And again, I love just connecting and talking OT. So like this has just kind of made my day. So thank you for coming on and being the second Lyfer of the Month feature. And yeah, just sharing a little bit more about who you are. So thank you, Krista.
Oh, I'm honored. I love this podcast. It's great. You are awesome.
I absolutely loved getting the chance to chat with Krista and hear a little bit more about her OT life. I also loved how she kept mentioning community because that is really so important to me. Connecting and inspiring each other is really the mission behind this platform to begin with. It's one of the reasons that I also love doing the movement challenges, which I know you heard us talk about in the segment. And it's a big reason that I connected with Krista to begin with. With all that's kind of going on in the world and so many of us working from home and spending so much time behind a computer screen, the 30-day movement challenge is a great way to get a little bit of movement every single day. And right now, we are just over a week into doing 50 lunges, 25 aside, every day. And honestly, all the accountability is absolutely amazing. If you want to join in, hit me up on Instagram. My handle's at ot.4.lyfe. Also, speaking of community, if you've got OT related questions that you want answered, head on over to otforlife.com/community and leave your questions there. Feel free to also browse previously asked questions and leave a comment or two. It's a great way to support this amazing OT community. Okay, Lyfers, we've made it to the end of the episode, and I know that you are desperately awaiting the next question of the month. For the next question of the month, it's going to be all about advice to students. What would you say is your best advice for OT and OTA students? Practitioners, I'm looking at you. What advice would you give to current students right now? And if you happen to be a current student, what advice have you received that has influenced your OT journey? Be sure to comment with your answers at otforlife.com/question of the month. To do so, you can leave a voicemail, which will be featured in an upcoming podcast episode, and also write your comment in the community. And remember, by chiming in your response, you get entered into a drawing to win an OT for Life shirt. Leave a voicemail and a comment in the community, and you'll get 5 entries into the drawing. And this month, I'm super excited to announce the winner, and that's Adriana Beaumont. A big thanks for responding to this month's question of the month, and I've got an OT for Life shirt coming your way. All right, I'm signing off, but first, I wanted to give you a shout out. If you've made it this far, you are my people, and I am forever thankful for you. If you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so that you are the first to find out when a new episode comes out. If you don't know how to do that, pop on over to otforlife.com/subscribe for more details. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you hear, here are 3 easy ways you can help support the show. 1. Head over to otforlife.com to find out more about any resources discussed on the show. Remember, that's OT4lyfe.com. 2. Share the podcast with a friend, colleague, or anyone interested in occupational therapy. 3. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss out on any upcoming episode. And while you're there, be sure to leave a review saying how much you love the show. Thanks again. I'll catch you next time, OT for Lifers. Hold on. My internet is just jumping. All right. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, all right. It just did some weird monster voice in my ear here.
Right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of editing.
Yeah. Wait, I'm gonna start over. So
as kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Is that good?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, because I wanted to say it different anyway.
No worries.